I do not know.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, November 2nd, 2023 Administration Meeting. I'm going to begin by calling roll call. Rodney Riley is here. Brian Curry is absent. Brian Schneider. Dave Wiltsey.
Here.
Ray Larson.
Here.
Brett Mueller is not with us yet. Tom Wahlberg.
Here.
Lisa Patterson.
Here.
Dana Logston.
Here.
Sherry Branson.
Here.
Carl Johnson is not with us yet. And Marion Thornberry.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. No minutes to approve. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight, please. Motion by Mr. Thornberry, second by Ms. Branson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 5.1, public comment. I have a couple of slips here. The first one is Mr. Richard Wolf. Richard, if you would step up to the podium, please. Address for the record, and your 3 minutes will start when you finish that, sir. Go right ahead.
Richard Wolf, 9698 Spring Road, Garden Prairie. Earlier this year, the board approved changes to the temporary use permit regulations. 4.2.3 under animal shows and rodeos. And it reads, participant identification. For each animal show rodeo held, applicants and/or property owners shall maintain a listing of all participants, including bib number and contact information for each individual event of the animal show or rodeo. Recent shark videos show that this is not being done. No bibs are visible on the competitor. Why not? The ordinance doesn't state clearly that it's mandatory. Was this written to allow rodeos to skip wearing bib numbers? Seems like many of the animal shows rodeo wording has different interpretations. I can't read my own writing here. Worded so vague that it doesn't have to be enforced. It doesn't say in the ordinance to wear a bib. Many sports have competitors that wear numbers on their uniforms. American rodeos competitors wear bibs. Olympians wear bibs with numbers on them. If the ordinance are going to be enforced, if the ordinance aren't going to be enforced, why spend time trying to make it fair? ZBA ad hoc come up with resolutions, but the board makes a motion to change it up or dismiss completely. A year and a half ago, this could have been solved if concerts in A1 were stopped. Since concerts, according to the ordinance, are to be in zoning B1 and B2, two venues listed themselves as concert venues on their Facebook page and on their flyers. Please, someone on this board, make a motion to move animal shows, rodeos, and concerts to B1 and B2 zoning and solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. All right, next up, I have Mr. Steve Hendy. Mr. Hendy, if you'd approach the microphone, your full name and address, please. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Steve Hendy, 43W799 Oak Leaf Drive, Auburn, Illinois. Passing out freedom of information responses that I spoke to last time around. Thought you ought to take a look at them. Tonight, as with so many nights before, we wanted to play video evidence that would completely destroy the fallacy that any private rodeo in Boone County does it right. Not Mr. Hernandez Rodeo at 173, where they were sticking steers with needles last time. Not the Irene Road Rodeo, not the Capron Rodeo, not the Pearl Street Rodeo. Suggesting our videos, Sharks videos, pose a security risk would be insulting if it weren't so silly. Shark has supplied videos to numerous county boards in Illinois and beyond, as well as state legislatures and local, national, and international media. Boone County Animal Services, the Boone County Sheriff's Department, and the Boone County State's Attorney have used our videos without issue. In another county, it could be reasonably asked if video is even necessary. Here are excerpts of a statement Gracie Robles made at the August 2nd ad hoc committee meeting in response to concerns expressed about horse beating. This is Ms. Robles. Guys that beat their horses, that's on them. Yes, it's happening there, but I mean, that's the same as someone, abusing their dog at their home. That's very, we have no control over that, right? Well, and it happens, sure, things happen. Actually, Ms. Robles' full statement is even more appalling, and she nevertheless sits on the ad hoc committee that will make recommendations on the future of rodeo. Frankly, we can't make this stuff up. It's really only happening in Boone County. For the record, we want your constituents to see the uncensored truth in the county's live stream, full screen. That's what Elisa Patterson got and others before her. That bell cannot be unrung, and there's no legitimate reason to even try. Concerns of security, tiny as they realistically are eliminated with a link from a platform like Retransfer, which is in fact how Elisa Patterson did it back in March and how we're ready to do it now. All the hand-wringing by rodeo toadies is just a show for fools. Don't be fooled by this nonsense. All this insanity to protect a criminal enterprise isn't just ludicrous, it's absolutely un-American. I realize nothing said tonight will change the unprincipled rodeo sycophants on the board, in the state's attorney's office, or the bureaucrats who have chosen to just go with the flow and roll over. At this point, maybe we're just making a record for judges in state and perhaps federal courts. I do want that record to be clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tandy. All right, I want to note for the record that Brett Mueller joined us at 6:02 p.m. and Carl Johnson joined us at 6:05 p.m. I have one more quick, it was emailed to me. It was a public comment statement, statement of Gail Eisnitz, I believe. I may be butchering that name. Living at 36 Woodland Avenue, San Rafael, California, zip code 94901. Minutes as I read this. I am testifying today on behalf of the Humane Farming Association's 280,000 members across the United States. For years, Boone County has been violating its own ordinance by neglectingly granting use permits for cruel and illegal Mexican-style rodeos. Shark video proves that every rodeo location in Boone County routinely violates not just humane laws, but also the rules of the Mexican Federation of Chariota. Horses at these events are subject to routine beatings, and steers have their legs, horns, and backs broken and their tails ripped off. Provided no veterinary care, injured steers have lavished for hours before being loaded into a tractor buckets and taken off to be shot. The Humane Farming Association and Shark are currently suing the county, seeking an injunctive relief in an effort to stop these egregious violations. Boone County's Mexican-style rodeos are particularly cruel because individual steers are run as many as 20 times in a day. Electric prods are extensively used despite Charo rules prohibiting these painful devices. Even the Mexican-American Classic Chariota organization is disturbed by the Boone County events and is accurately referred to participants as brutes and criminals. It is deeply troubling that the county has failed to take decisive action to stop these abuses. It is equally disturbing that some of the members of the board are now attempting to suppress public disclosure and keep county residents in the dark by flagrantly illegal animal abuse being perpetrated here in Boone County. The board's proposed amendment of arbitrarily prohibit the public's use of taxpayer-funded audio-visual equipment is appalling, especially since the equipment was just recently allowed to be used during public comment period by an individual who supports abusive rodeo events now in question. This board's glaring double standard and transparent attempt to censor truthful content is flagrantly unconstitutional. In fact, internal emails recently obtained under the Freedom of Information Act reveal that arguments used to advance this proposed amendment are merely a cynical pretext for superseding dissenting views. This malfeasance should be of great concern not only to Boone County residents, but to all Americans who value the First Amendment of our Constitution. We urge a no vote on the proposed amendment. So I read that. Any other public comment? Was anything else emailed to anyone else for public comment? All right, we will move along. For the monthly presentations, I'll turn the meeting over to Mr. Larson, legislative or
Thank you, Chairman. 6.1, Public Safety, Boone County Sheriff. I think he's here for that.
I'm not sure.
he texted earlier that he was not going to make tonight's meeting.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he didn't send anybody else. Okay, move along.
To 6.2, then County Highway Engineer monthly presentation, Mr. Crone.
I submitted board docs. I think the primary thing would be the US Route 20 hearing is, public comment is due by November 25th. So just keep that in mind. If there's any additional comments or any additional information you want to share with IDOT, but there's a link on the sheet that was provided on board docs to get to the site that has all the contact information to share any comments. Otherwise, only other thing that's fairly new is that we are, this is the first year we're trying a living snow fence, which is basically we talk to farmers. We've been trying to do this now for since 2019, I guess it was, or 18. And this year we do have two locations. One is on Caledonia Road north of Whale Trap, and the other is Poplar Grove Road. It'd be on the west side of the road. Both of them are on the west side of the road. The other one's Poplar Grove Road, and just north of Orth Road. And what a living snow fence is we can use motor fuel tax money to pay the farmer for his crops to leave anywhere from 6 to a dozen or so rows, depending on the configuration of corn standing, and then that drops the snow before it drifts onto the roadway. So this is kind of a trial for us to see if we can reduce our costs with tackling drifting issues. So it'll be kind of interesting to watch that so that you guys all know what's going on, that those are the two locations. So I'm available to any questions.
Any questions, comments for Mr. Logson?
Your living snow fence, is that going to obstruct any like driver's views coming around that corner?
No, so it should not. It's so what we do is it's outside of the right of way, and then also we have them take off usually a full combine with, in this case it was 8 rows adjacent to the fence. So we still drop the snow even before it gets to the right of way, and so we have probably about 30 feet. We'd have probably 50 feet from the actual corn stalks till the edge of the pavement, so that there should be no obstruction.
No, Mr. Riley?
You and I have had this discussion. I pass 2 of them every day when I go to work on Kishwaukee Valley Road. They're wonderful. It works very well. And the farmer comes back every spring and takes it out and still gets something out of it. So it doesn't hurt a thing. Idea.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Wheeler?
Justin, today at the watershed meeting, I noticed McHenry County was doing the liquid salt. Is Boone County set up something like that? Are we looking into it at all?
We have looked at, a couple of years ago, we looked into it pretty in depth. We do not. We currently don't do any liquid salt. I'd like to do that. We actually built, last winter, we built a spray bar, and we built a mechanism that we could apply it on. And actually my primary intent of building that, we built it all in-house, is to seal our bridge decks. So that's a large program, in-house bridge deck sealing, that I'm going to start here hopefully next year. Still working on the details, but I'm hoping that we can use that same mechanism to do some pre-treating areas with some liquid material. Our trucks that we have currently right now are not set up to do any liquid application, but I think we're going to probably take some baby steps. We'll do some pre-treating with liquids, and then eventually, hopefully we can, if it works out well, the industry is going that way, and it does make sense on a lot of aspects. So, it is something we are not able to do right now, but down the road, we hope to.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Patterson?
I have a question from Watershed too. So I didn't even realize that you could calibrate the salt coming off. Are we calibrated?
We don't go through the calibration. We establish it when we first get our new equipment, but we don't do a yearly calibration. And that's one thing that I talked to after the meeting. I talked to Scott about. Sounds like they're willing to help us with that. So yes, we will start a yearly recalibration. So we do the initial calibration, but we don't after that. And that's kind of something I got out of the meeting, is that perhaps we should do a yearly calibration, or perhaps even maybe twice a year.
Yeah, it was shocking. So, all right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Mr. Cron? Anything else? Okay. Nope. Okay, thank you, Mr. Cron. Okay, we have some other presentations here. The circuit court, Ms. Caduto, please.
Good evening. The report's a little brief this time around. We've been into the Safety Act for a while now, and we had a meeting with our zone, and it's been consensus all the way around that so far it seems to be working okay for the clerk's office, which is good. Budget-wise, we'll be under budget in our 3 line items. Postage, though, I am going to use that, so we'll be on target there, but otherwise with office supplies and payroll, we will be under budget. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
All right. Have a good evening.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have the probation report with Ms. Galliano.
Good evening. In the report, I have all the training that the department has involved in for the month of October, which was a lot. It's usually a busy month for us for annual trainings. I completed an annual plan, our first ever in the state of Illinois, for our pretrial department. Usually it's always with our regular probation annual plan. They separated it out this year for the Office of Statewide Pretrial. That office wants to see what us counties are doing that are not part of the Office of Statewide Pretrial. So 71 counties are part of that office, statewide pretrial, and the rest of us are maintaining our own pretrial department. So we had to do a new report this year, and that was turned in as scheduled on Tuesday. So does anybody have any questions?
Questions, comments for Galliano? Don't see any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we also have a public defender report with Ms. Cross.
So the last quarter at the Public Defender's Office has been a lot of learning and change. As everybody's already alluded to, the Pretrial Fairness Act went into effect September 18th. It has impacted our office and our workloads. So we've had increased daily hearings, and that's on top of already high caseloads. So it is making it a little difficult to keep up. We do have great attorneys and staff in the office, and we are working hard to keep on top of increases. We also received third quarter case stats from court administration. Our increased caseloads are supported by the case data. It looks like projected case filings this year are up 30% across the board. And each type of case that our office handles is significantly up from last year's numbers. So that increased workload stress that we're feeling in our office is reflected in the raw numbers. As a highlight from one of my reports, we did receive $86,000 in funding That was allocated for public defenders and public defender services. The receipt of that funding has made it possible for our budget request without affecting the general fund. Also, I wanted to touch on a little bit, looking to the future. I know the county is considering options of how and where to allocate resources and different ways to relocate offices. I would just like to, again, put in a request to relocate our office to a county-owned building. Ideally, it would be the courthouse. The employees at our office asked for it to be a priority when those considerations are being made. 2 weeks ago, we did experience a client who became a safety risk and did have the potential to become violent in our office after entering our office. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it is a stark reminder of the lack of safety and security that we have in our current location. I'm not going to outline exactly what security we don't have in detail right now, but I did want to bring it up tonight and just let the board know about some of our safety and security concerns. So just as you're considering possible options moving forward, we ask for you to consider us when you're thinking about it. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions or comments for Ms. Cross? Mr. Wolber?
So I thought initially that there was a purpose of not having him there for a valid reason, but now you'd like to have him. I'm sure that was done maybe long before your term, but could you explain it? Or it makes sense.
I'm not exactly sure what any prior arguments were for not having any kind of, and I'm not saying like a guard or anything like that, but currently you just walk into a wide open office with no ability to call for help if we need it. So I know that our office, everybody in our office is concerned about just not having an ability. I know the county had just gotten a panic button system. I did talk with Perry when that was happening, and I don't think we were able to be part of that because of where our office is located. Something about, I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning was, but we weren't able to be a part of that. So that would be a help. That would at least alert somebody that there was an issue at our office and get them there quickly. And currently we don't even have that.
I'd be curious to know, if you had any suggestions for locations in, where in the building currently we have, right? I mean,
You want me to?
Yeah, if you.
Oh, anyway, but something we'll take under consideration, but I appreciate bringing that up.
Okay, any other questions or Ms. Franson?
You had mentioned that you'd like to be in the courthouse, but I don't know of any available space within the courthouse. Do you?
Yeah, I know currently there isn't room. I know there's not room currently in the courthouse. I am not sure what the county's plan is moving forward on any kind of property or moving things around.
Okay.
Good. Ms. Tobin?
If you recall, a few months ago, we hired Savedra Architects to do a design conception for the courthouse. We do have that preliminary site plan. We had an extensive meeting 2 days ago with the departments in the courthouse, plus our public defender, to see what that would look like. Our intent is to bring that before you at your December finance meeting. So for you to take a look at what it could look like if we were to remodel the courthouse, update it, more space for all your departments, which would also include bringing your public defender into the building, CASA, and the VAC.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments for Ms. Cross? Anything else to share?
Thank you.
On to the new business, 9.1. Ooh, what's happening?
I'm on the quarterly reports too. I didn't submit something in writing.
Okay.
That's probably why you missed it.
Ms. Smith, the state's attorney presentation.
I apologize for not getting something in writing. Just a couple updates from my office. I was able to hire a new attorney. She did start this month. So she's getting acclimated to the office. She has about 10 years experience as being an assistant state's attorney. So she's been able to step in. That will allow us to have the attorney that we had hired in January to help with more civil matters, including FOIA, move more into that position. He wasn't able to at that time because we then lost a felony assistant. So we had started meeting with all the departments and find out their FOIA needs, and we're going to continue to do that. I also wanted to bring to your attention 2 awards that were presented to employees of my office this month. First was for our victim witness coordinator, Maria Arenas. She received the first award from the Family Violence Coordinating Council and for her work with domestic violence victims. And that was the first time it happened here in Boone County. They have had the award ceremony in Winnebago before, but she received that in early October. So we were very excited, and she does a wonderful job. We're very lucky to have her. And then Robin Babcock Poole in my office, she's an assistant state's attorney, and she received an outstanding assistant state's attorney for prosecuting DUIs from the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists. This is a organization that works throughout the state, and I think they typically honor 3 assistant state's attorneys throughout the year or throughout the state each year. So it's a very good honor, and she does a wonderful job prosecuting those cases. And otherwise, we're just continuing to work with the other departments regarding the Pretrial Fairness Act and, working through some of those staffing issues that I know Mr. Cross had mentioned. So I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Any questions? Discussion with Ms. Smith?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now 9.1. I need a motion to approve the claims with the understanding that Carl Johnson abstains from voting on all claims presented by William Charles, Northern Illinois Service Company, Core and Maine, all claims submitted by the Boone County Highway Department, and all claims submitted by any county department regarding sewage, stormwater, construction, and excavation.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Just this one, yep. Set? Okay. Rodney Riley, yes. Brian Schneider?
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey?
Aye.
Ray Larson?
Aye.
Brett Mueller?
Aye.
Tom Wahlberg?
Yes.
Lisa Patterson?
Yes.
Anna Logston?
Aye.
Jerry Branson?
Yes.
Carl Johnson?
Yes.
Marion Thornberry?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Do we need any discussion on the raffles? 9.3, I need a motion to approve, excuse me, the request of $10,000 of ARPA funds to be donated to the Rock River Valley Blood Center to assist in the purchase of a blood mobile. Motion.
Here, too.
It was, the motion was by Mr. Schneider.
Second.
Second it?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Thornberry. Any discussion?
The gentleman's here.
Well, would you like to say anything this quick?
Sure. A few weeks ago, you heard my speed dating version of this when I tried to do it in 3 minutes. And I'm not sure. Main thing was I see you all basically have the sheet that I left you. I hope you got a chance to look at it. This is something that affects every citizen in this county and matter of fact, in a 9-county area. But basically, if your mother, your kid, your wife, whatever needs blood, you're gonna be very glad that the Rock River Valley Blood Center is there. As I tell people, when it starts to rain, it's not the time to start building the ark. We have to do this. We're talking about COVID money here, and I will tell you that COVID was not kind to the blood center. Pre-COVID, we were collecting 50,000 units of blood. Post-COVID, we're collecting 30,000. And that means we have to rebuild our donors. Now, I am here asking for help with our blood mobile. 50% of the blood that we collect is collected off-site, generally with a bloodmobile. More importantly, 95+% of the people who make their first blood donation do it where there's a bloodmobile. Basically, nobody picks up the phone in the morning and calls and says, hey, can I come down and let you stick a needle in my arm and take my blood? But if we put a bloodmobile out in the parking lot and your neighbor or your partner or whatever says, hey, come out and try it, a lot of people will go out and give blood. And at the end of the day, they go, hey, that didn't hurt too badly. And when we call back, we can turn them into a blood donor. Bloodmobiles are designed to last 10 to 12 years. We have 2 of them. They are 21 and 23 years old, a little bit over their 10 to 12 years. We have replaced the first one. We've finally gotten it in here. They cost $400,000 a piece. We have enough reserves to pay for half, which meant I needed to go out and find another $200,000. Since I've been here last, I can say that the campaign on our first one has been doing extremely well and that we are within $16,000 of having full funding for that first automobile. We're asking you for 10 of that. And if I understand, I'm not too proud to beg. But if you want to be a hero and turn that into 16,000, I'd be fine with that too. But I really would like to ask you to help us with this. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions or comments?
So, oh, question, yes.
No, just comment. Just recently did something like this with Habitat for Humanity, realizing that's an excellent organization. This is an organization I think that touches many, many, many lives all around us. So I have no problem with this.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion on the motion? Mr. Riley?
Yeah, on this particular issue, I kind of feel the opposite of Mr. Johnson on this, and I understand his point of view, but I'm just going to give you mine. So the COVID money was for Boone County. This organization definitely covers Boone County. It also covers a lot of other counties. So I guess I were to ask a question, and I apologize because you've already sat down. I don't know if they've asked anybody other, if they ask any of the other counties. If you want to, I'll direct that question to you, sir.
Yes, Winnebago County took $10,000 of COVID money. They were one of the first ones ever.
Okay. Anybody else?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Very good.
But if I have 2 of them, it's going to be easier to go to the others.
I understand. Okay. All right. I just still feel, as I did before, that this is the beginning of the breadline, and I just can't support it. I wish I had more reasons for that, and it would maybe make more sense, but this is money that we're supposed to be using. I realize it's only 10,000 out of what we have. And again, I appreciate the efforts for sure. Just don't think that this is not something that's going to directly benefit our county constituents. So anybody else has ideas? I'd be glad to listen.
Ms. Patterson?
I guess I'm probably in between the 2 of them. If Winnebago County gave $10,000, their population is obviously much larger than our population. So if we did this on a sliding scale of population, some sort of a math to that, I think I would be in favor of it. But we're a small county, 53,000 people versus Winnebago County. So I would be in favor of something, just not $10,000.
Ms. Branson?
This is really tough because I've been the recipient of blood, when I was in a bad accident and I was laying on the pavement and I was bleeding out, I got blood. And I'm so glad that you were there. But I'm also a person who ran for office, and when I ran for office, every single person that I spoke to, when they signed my petition, and I asked them what their concerns were over and over and over again, it was our taxes and keeping the cost down, because people are struggling, and I just, in my heart of hearts, I don't think it's our government body that we were elected to, it's our responsibility to be giving money to charities. I have a hard time selling that to the general public to say that, they have the right to choose who they give to, but I don't think it's our right to choose for them. I think that's wrong. And I'm sorry, but I have to say no.
Mr. Wiltie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The distinction I make is because it's a mobile unit. So it will be in and out of Boone County. As Sherry just saying, it did benefit you as a Boone County resident. This equipment is becoming more and more expensive. And as the gentleman said, first time users on the impulse at a parking lot in a shopping center, someone like, oh, okay, I'll try this. Otherwise, they might do that. That break out of the box kind of mobility and visual presence is the kind of thing that gets people to start doing this. And that's why I'll be voting yes.
Mr. Logsdon?
I just actually had a question. I'm sorry I didn't catch you while you were up there at the podium. Maybe you just answer from your seat. Just out of curiosity, 21 years ago, what did something like this cost? Do you know?
I do not know. I was not with them at the time, but my guess is probably half.
Probably less than half, actually.
Yeah.
Mr. Thornberry?
Your organization classified as a charity organization? We are a 501c3, yes, sir. It's a nonprofit. It's not a charity. It's a nonprofit. And we have an operating budget that is balanced, but we do not have capital money. That is our, we can operate, but we can't buy new lab equipment and new capital pieces. Yes, we are a 501c3 charity organization.
Well, a 501c3 and a charity operation are two entirely different organizations. A charity organization doesn't have to be a 501c3.
We are.
They're nonprofit.
Any other discussion on the motion? Are we having a roll call on this, or?
If you want, yeah, we could. Like to do that?
I don't know. Want to have just a
show of hands.
Voice vote and.
Go ahead, go to voice vote, that's fine.
For the roll call. Okay, all those in favor of the motion of $10,000 of ARPA funds to the River Valley Blood Center for the assistance in the purchase of a bloodmobile, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate this, and you're gonna help make this possible. And I pray that none of you ever do or don't. But the night the Apollo got hit, you guys cleaned us out of O-Neg blood. All night long, our people were running 4 hospitals, taking care of people that came out of that accident. The next morning, we had to get around the country and find more O-Neg, but we had it. It was here, and we do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you.
9.4, I need a motion to amend the Boone County Public Comment Rules and Procedures policy as presented. Mr. Mueller. Is there a second? Mr. Schneider?
Yeah.
Seconded by Mr. Schneider. Discussion? Ms. Smith? Michael?
We do have a memo to hand out, and we also have Joel Shadden here, who is the head of our IT department. I'm going to start just kind of talking about the first couple of points, and both of us will talk to you about it. But I guess one of the issues that have been brought up was past practice. And as far as we are aware, there was one time that a video was played on our YouTube channel during public comment. That's to the best of our knowledge. There's been other videos that have been played at committee meetings but they were projected onto the screen like the document is tonight. The other thing too that might not have been clear to board members, that what's ever projected up on that screen is not being streamed on YouTube. I think that needed some clarification last time. The only time it's up on YouTube is if it's through Aaron's computer, not, and for the most part, all the documents that we use at the board meetings are on the screen here, so they're visible, but they're, you know, from the view of this camera, not being streamed to the people home or at home watching. I guess the other point was that once the one incident happened in March, immediately in April was discussed and not allowed again, and that prompted some of the discussions internally about security and the policy, which is why we're still here today talking about it. And not since that March meeting has anyone been allowed to stream something on a YouTube video. So that in and of itself is not legal precedent to bind the board to continue or to change the policy to have that be the policy. One incident does not make legal precedent. And then there are security issues, and I'm going to actually turn it over to Joe, and he can use that other microphone possibly, and he can maybe just explain a little bit about what his concerns are from the IT standpoint.
I don't want anybody plugging in thumb drives given to them by the public.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Just, could you maybe grab the other microphone, maybe from Mr. Schneider, just so it makes it, we make sure we get it recorded properly. Just, you could probably set that up on there.
You can set,
Yeah.
I don't want the public giving you thumb drives with videos or documents, whatever, to plug in and review. It would be a security risk. We have no idea what's on there. I feel the same way about them emailing you a link to click on. I don't know where it's taking you. If you're on the county's network, I mean, we have security in place, but there's always a possibility. If they want to send it to you, if it is something the county board wants to review and you want to do it on your own laptop, phone, tablet, whatever, I'm good with it. Just don't do it here. Questions?
Ms. Branson?
Everybody agree?
Pardon?
I agree.
I didn't hear what you said after that.
I mean, but everybody agree.
Yeah, I have a question for you. At our last county board meeting, it was brought to my attention that there's some kind of equipment you can go down to Best Buy and the county could buy outright and hook it up so that they could put their thumb drive into that equipment, put it on our screen. And that way they could still show their videos. And it's not an expensive purchase for the county to make. Is that, how do you feel about that? Is that something that is doable and reasonable?
Doesn't touch the network. That'd be fine. You can do that if they want to spend their time hooking it up. I don't know what that's going to do about the YouTube policy though. If it's being filmed, I don't know where it would be displayed.
can't see it.
Well,
Well,
we're going to
YouTube,
talk about that in just a second. We'll talk about your question just
CBD.
about the YouTube policy.
But so ignoring that, I would be fine with that. Absolutely.
Okay. Might be a nice compromise if it's feasible.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with them presenting any of their information. It's just the nature of which they want to do it. And if the projector satisfies both of our requirements, yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
Any other questions? IT specialists?
Thank you, Joe.
Other discussion?
So the next point on your memo is regards to YouTube's service policy. I'll pass around another handout. So YouTube in order to host our county channel on YouTube, we have to comply with YouTube's terms of service policy. They have specific community guidelines which you can and cannot show on YouTube. So I'm passing out just kind of a sampling of the sort of things you can and cannot show on YouTube. They have really broad categories that encompass things like election misinformation. And yeah, and no, it really, animal abuse is one of those categories. Vulgar and offensive language is one of those categories. So we are concerned with the specter of people submitting videos to us beforehand for our office or for somebody else to review to make sure that it conforms to YouTube's community guidelines. As a governmental body, we generally have to allow people to express themselves in whatever ways they deem fit. You know, there are some really narrow categories where we can say, hey, you can't do that or you can't say that, but this is for narrow. YouTube's a private company. They can allow what they want on their YouTube channel, and they can say what they don't want on their YouTube channel. Yeah, so if anyone's questioning whether or not it enforces that policy, Tricia's passing out an article from this week where the LA Police Department's YouTube channel access was suspended because they posted footage intending to try to identify a suspect, but it had some violent imagery, and YouTube has suspended their access for a period of time. So are there things on YouTube that you can go on right now that you would see violate their terms of service? Yes. They say that they enforce their guidelines with a combination of human reviewers and automated reviewers, and I'm sure it's also somewhat people report violations. So that's the sort of thing where do people violate YouTube's terms of service? Yes, absolutely. If the county, you have the problem of us making a determination what does and doesn't violate YouTube's terms of service. And then B, you also have the problem of we could lose, as a county, you put us in a really precarious situation telling people they can't show something because of content. YouTube can do that. We really cannot. And that's why I believe that the people who are asking to submit videos, the most recent request, they want it live streamed. They're not asking to have it projected onto the screen. You still have the problem with it projected on the screen because the screen is visible in the YouTube feed. You can see the screen. I'm sure you can probably, with respect to a video, you can probably pick out some things. So the YouTube terms of service policy really creates an issue in that regard. Our office is very confident we're not violating anyone's First Amendment rights by not allowing them to broadcast on our YouTube channel. There are a myriad of ways in which people can express their right to broadcast their information. They can get their own YouTube channel, right there. They can get up in public comment and say, hey, go watch our YouTube channel. If they're so sure that their content doesn't violate YouTube's terms of service, and this is really important information that people know, there's Twitter, there's Facebook, there are a whole lot of ways for people to get their information out there. Our recommendation is that, staff's recommendation, and this is kind of an interdepartmental thing, is that you don't allow people to play videos during public comment, period. It is a policy decision of the board, but we think both the security risks and the potential First Amendment risks and the risk of losing our YouTube access are significantly outweigh any benefit.
Mr. Johnson?
Just a quick question. I know what I think, but I don't know what the law would say in this. So I just want to clarify that the law would see a difference between videos and PowerPoint presentation type things. So, I mean, I would classify a video as a video, what we would all consider a video. But is it possible the law could say, well, you don't allow videos, so you can't allow a PowerPoint presentation? I think those are completely different things, but I want to know what the legal aspect is.
With respect to the security issue, I think Joel would have the same concern about a PowerPoint presentation that he would, it's something entering our network from outside of our network. So I think if I'm safe speaking for him in that regard, he would have those same concerns. I think if what is being PowerPointed up onto the screen is visible by YouTube, by the live stream, I think it could be a problem. 99.9% of the time, is it going to be a problem? When Sikich comes in to give us our audit and they want to do a PowerPoint, are we worried that there's going to be election misinformation in there that's going to violate the YouTube terms of service? No. But Sikich also isn't speaking during public comment. They're invited to present to the board, generally speaking. They're on the agenda. There are less concerns.
So that would be the difference, that this is strictly for public comment, and it wouldn't be setting a precedence for the whole. Because that would be my concern. We're talking about potential revamps to the courthouse, things like that. That involves presentations with pictures that the public should be able to see, and if it's only something we can look at on paper, so it's distinguishing specifically for public comment. Okay.
Ms. Patterson?
That was my question. Thank you.
Wiltsey?
Again, I see a distinction here, and I appreciate the memo that was just distributed. A PowerPoint is going to be a bunch of words on a screen. It doesn't have the visual impact that happened to the LA Police Department, apparently, where they were beating somebody with, they said, some sort of wrench, and they were trying to do the suspects. The visual image in a photographic style is the kind of thing that can just have an impact well beyond words. PowerPoints don't worry me. So I'm going to be voting in favor of proposed policy with restrictions.
Mr. Johnson?
Just to clarify with the state's attorney, if I could. So your recommendation would be on this particular memo in front of us to basically strike the last section, because that section says that the members of the public may bring their own equipment for audio or visual presentations.
Yeah, we didn't modify the proposed language that was presented to the board at the last board meeting because we had some brand new information to bring to you guys, and B, we weren't sure that there was really a consensus of what you wanted brought back to admin tonight. So you certainly don't have to vote on anything tonight in order to move this on to the full board meeting for November. If we get a sort of a general consensus from you as to what you would like to see, we will get you that language and have it on the agenda for the full board meeting.
I guess for my 2 cents, I concur with the state's attorney's opinion that we should just eliminate the use of video during public comment, period, and just keep it at that.
Mr. Thornberry?
As I stated before, this will get a no matter where I vote on it, because if the public can't see what we're doing, we're not doing our job. Now, whether they use our equipment or whether they set up a bunch of rules and regulations to where they bring in the stuff, let us view it before we put it out there, fine. I'm with all the things that let the public see what we see. But to tell them that they can't do it simply because we don't like the content, no. I vote no on this, no matter when you bring it to the board, because it's denying the public access to what we have. And that's not right. We're not here to stop the public from seeing what we see. We're here to provide them with all the information they need so they can determine whether or not we're getting paid to do what they want us to do.
Mr. Wiltsey?
I thought the recommendation was no videos. So if that's the case, then we're not going to see it either. And then it's going to be based upon the oral statements and written statements, if any. And it's not going to be about something on a screen that we can see that they can't see. It's about no videos, so nothing on the screen except maybe like a PowerPoint under the State's Attorney's Office was talking about.
I'm all for the security of our network. I've said that all along. I guess maybe just a side note, I don't know about you guys, but it just seems awfully strange to me. There isn't anything you can't look up on YouTube, folks. Nothing you can't look up on YouTube. It's amazing. And I know I'm biased because I'm public service, but you know, if a police officer does something wrong, it's broadcast everywhere. There's a disclaimer on the evening news that says, you know, if you got kids, turn them away. That has nothing to do with this, but I just have to laugh that YouTube is going to shut this down because, you know, they didn't like it because they were trying to find a criminal. But yet any other time, again, you can Google or YouTube search anything and watch anything. Now, should we be doing that here? Obviously not. But I'm really torn with this one because I get where we're coming from. We don't want to violate our policy. We don't want to have our restriction taken away from YouTube that says that we can broadcast our meetings, because I think that's the most important thing, is being sure that the people can see what we're discussing here and things like that. But it's just, I don't know, somewhat humorous to me that YouTube can just, I mean, I know it's their company, but crazy. That's it.
Mr. Wheeler?
Tricia's for you. What is the definition of public comment? Is it public video, public comment, public viewing?
Yeah,
in the ordinance, what is public comment?
sure. So our county's public comment and rules, I think Becky or Aaron just pulled it up there. So I think there's a state statute that says you need to have public comment, and then the board decides what that public comment will look like. So different entities might have 3 minutes per speaker for public comment, or 5 minutes, or a total of 30 minutes for public comment. Within, constitutional bounds, you guys can kind of do what you want to with respect to your public comment rules. Prior to COVID, I know the Boone County Board didn't have a rule that said, hey, you can email in your public comment and have it read. That was instituted during COVID because people couldn't attend the meetings, but that still gave the public the ability to comment. The board has kept that rule so far and allowed that. You would not have to allow that, especially now that the public can comment. So you have latitude within a fairly broad set of parameters to make public comment what you want it to be.
Okay. Well,
and I think maybe it gives the public the right to come in and address the board with issues that they may have concerns about. And it doesn't have to be something on the agenda. It could be, they can come in and talk about anything, but it's a right that's allowed under the Open Meeting Act to have the public come. But like Carla was saying, as long as you're treating people similarly and you're not making decisions based on content, as long as you're making rules that apply to everybody, the board is allowed to set parameters for that public comment. Does that help?
yeah, well, the other thing is I'm looking at if it's a video, because if I go up there, it's my comment, it's about what my feelings are, or my opinion. But if I have a video showing, and let's say there's 4 or 5 other people talking on the video, is that violation of any of the public comment? I mean, in our jurisdiction? Yeah. you see where I'm coming from? Like, if I play a video and I have Mr. Schneider talking, Mr. Mueller, Mr. Wiltsey, Mr. Johnson, all talking during it, I mean, isn't that kind of like you're sharing your minutes? Or I don't know. I'm just trying to throw something out there. I don't know.
I guess the other thing too to mention is that up until COVID, we didn't even live stream the meetings. And I think that they might have been recorded, but you'd have to come to the county board or to county administration to even watch them. So it's not something that has always been written in stone that public comment equals video. Right, it's evolved. Can videos comment? Yes, but again, you can restrict them or I guess put guidelines around them. And it might be different if we weren't using YouTube. I mean, that's what we're using. You know, I don't know if there's other streaming possibilities. That's not my realm of expertise, but because we use YouTube, that's why we're concerned about the YouTube policy.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Loxon?
Oh, yeah, okay. You're right. So in order to do this right, you would need some kind of like live stream switcher. Just throwing that out there. But let's talk about like specifically to Mr. Hindy, okay? So there's a workaround around this. I don't know if anybody's thought of this yet, but Mr. Hindy posts this kind of stuff on YouTube, right? I mean, I've watched his YouTube channel.
We all have.
I know, right? Lots, actually. Yeah, so here's the deal with that. That would be your workaround right there. If YouTube hasn't blocked and banned Steve Hindy with the stuff that he's posting, that means that YouTube is actually allowing whatever he's posting to be there. So what he would, if he wanted to really do this right, Mr. Hindy would go ahead and he would upload a video and he'd let it sit there for a week or whatever. And then he could come in and we could just throw that up on the screen because YouTube didn't have a problem with it. So you wouldn't really be in violation of any policies because, or certainly not YouTube's policies, because they were already allowing it. So, and then he could just send you a link to the YouTube video and then you could just play it. Anyway, there you go.
Mr. Johnson.
Just a couple things. One, just in response to Mr. Loxton's comments first, how do we know the video or the link that he sends us is going to have the blurred out portions that he often has when he shows it on YouTube? Maybe the raw footage that shows up here. We don't know that. Yeah, we could review it, but if he just happens to show up and show it, or anyone, not even just Mr. Hindy. So I think it's public comment. It's not public video showing time or anything like that. People have used the English language for hundreds and hundreds of years to make their points and express their views in very eloquent and sometimes uneloquent ways. I see no reason why people can't use the same language and make their point in words, plain as day, however they want to do it. It's that simple. We get emails all the time on 8 million things. Mr. Hindy posts all over. He's happy. He can talk about his YouTube channel when he's up here, or anybody else can. Direct people to it, whatever. But do it in words. It's simple.
Tobin?
I believe one of the issues that this is a government YouTube page. And I believe when Aaron gets on every time, do you have to click almost like it's rated G because we're government? There's certain restrictions because we are a government YouTube page.
So there is a little bit of an issue in what Becky had noted, kind of dating back to when Dan Street had passed over the YouTube ownership to me to kind of manage and get everything live streaming. Every time the video goes up, it is usually marked easily available and viewable for kids for ages, as the content that we provide and post is also decipherable, understandable for kids too, even though that the content is a little bit advanced, but we're trying to talk things at a third, fourth level. The issue with having our government YouTube page is we have the issue with YouTube. We don't own our own content. Where with videos that we have and save that we use to transpose our minutes, that's downloaded through Zoom. That's how we utilize that. And also with us live streaming, that's usually shared on YouTube. You probably have seen it shared across a couple of Facebook pages where you can view it. That's how some people in the public are actually able to see what's going on, as some people are usually traveling outside the community. Boone County residents want to know one way they can see it. And the biggest one is the service, and kind of talking about the workaround. You have 90-day strike period after, if it's 1 or 2, you can get your third strike, then your channel gets suspended. But how long do we want to keep playing that into what our role is for the government? Do we keep playing that around of review time period? As one of the biggest things that we're looking at is the time to review the content, is for public comment versus agenda items. That's one of the things that we keep a little bit talking about back and forth and interchangeably. The time that we usually have for agenda items, we usually have about a week or 2, or even a month in advance of what that content will be. Like the presentation in December, we have an idea of what that will be. In terms of public comment, we'll probably get like a video 2 days in advance. That isn't sufficient time to compare against all these community guidelines. So kind of looking at that, that's a little bit of my take in looking at this, and following up with Joel, the material to kind of upload to our computer system, putting into the computer. That was a big mistake and should have never happened in the first place. I own up to it. And that's pretty much is moving forward of what is the best practice so we can set the standard moving forward. Any questions?
Mr. Thornberry, did you have something?
We've addressed this issue a number of times, and the best I've heard yet is to have them bring their stuff in, have us view it, and then put it in our system, to where the county can view it no matter where you're at. And as far as the material goes, there are at least 3 counties that I know of that have already posted everything that Shark has shown. That's why the county that, I forget the name of the county now, but they've already passed laws taking care of the rodeo system. But we don't want to hear that because we don't want to do that. We want to sit here and argue about it. Unless we come up with a ways that the public can see what we can see, I vote no on it. I don't care. I mean, we're denying the public access to the knowledge that we have.
Mr. Riley?
Bottom line is this, folks. We had a really good system. We had a fair system that was in place before I became chairman. March 16th, I deviated from that. Bottom line, I deviated from that. And we did show a video. And I'm not going to go into all of that. But in the next meeting, April 6th, I took responsibility for that mistake. And I told everybody right here in this room, right here in front of all those same people that come every week and every month and give us their opinions, which I greatly appreciate. But I said at that time, at the April 6th meeting, that I made a mistake on that, and I owned up to it, and I said that we were not going to change any policy until staff had a chance to review it and give us some ideas. That was in April. May, June, July. I don't think this even became an issue again until, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think August it started up again. So now we've got it started. We've got a policy in front of us. It sounds to me like we need to do some type of a amendment to it to scratch off the bottom 2 paragraphs that we put on that. And we need to move forward from this. That's my opinion.
Mr. Wiltsey?
I don't mean to be redundant, but if, as has been said before tonight, YouTube's a private entity, commercial entity. We risk being suspended from YouTube if something is shown, just like happened with this LA Police Department thing. And I think the best thing to do is not have videos at all. If they want to show us a link and tell us where the link is or something, and we want to do that on our own, then we can go look at it. Mr. Thornberry had mentioned that some counties have posted some of these shark videos. I bet you they didn't post it on YouTube. They may have posted it, I don't know what, maybe their own website. But the issue here is whether we're going to accidentally lose our ability to show this on YouTube because something will be shown that's too graphic, just as has happened to the LA Police Department.
Mr. Johnson?
I'd move to amend the motion to, on bullet point 8, strike after sentence that says, at the end of it, it says provided for the speaker's use, comma, change that comma to a period, and strike the remaining portion which says, and the pull down screen at the front of the boardroom, and strike bullet point 9.
Second.
It's got 9, mine's all got points.
Just look at what is in red. Who's the county board?
So there was the motion to amend was by Mr. Johnson, and who seconded that? Mr. Wiltsey?
Yes.
Would you mind reading that again, Mr. Johnson?
Certainly. So bullet point 8 would read as follows: members of the public and county board members shall not be allowed to use county audio visual equipment other than the microphone provided for the speaker's use, period. The remaining portion of that would be stricken. And the entire bullet point number 9 would be removed also. Makes it clear, keeps it fair for everyone on the same level.
Any discussion on the amendment? Mr. Thornberry?
Not enough. They both need to be eliminated completely. And if you're gonna put something in here, you put it down, you put something in there to where they have to allow us to view the material before it can be played, but it can still be played on our system. Because we viewed it and we can play it and have clear knowledge that everything on it is acceptable. You can't keep using this, we're gonna jeopardize our YouTube thing, because if you go on YouTube, you can see these same rodeos that don't come from shark, they come from Mexico itself. So to say you're worried about YouTube eliminating it because of the content doesn't hold no water with me. Because I've seen material a lot worse than these rodeo materials on YouTube.
Mr. Wiltsey?
The distinction is that you're searching for it or you can find it. The distinction is that YouTube, when it does its broadcast, has these standards. And they will knock you off if you violate the standards. No matter what they have, if you click on their site, they're not going to let you broadcast on their YouTube channel.
Any other discussion on the proposed amendment? Sure, Ms. Branson.
I'm not real good with computers, I'll admit that. But my understanding is, okay, we've got a reason from what YouTube is saying with their policies that we really don't need to show the videos. However, I'm also thinking that if you wanted to show a PowerPoint, then you're going to need the pull down screen, and you can do the PowerPoint by just plugging the thumb drive into your own laptop and then just putting it up there, correct?
Are you talking about during public comment?
Yeah.
That's a different issue.
Well, if you strike the part where you can't use the pull down screen at the front of the room, then during public comments, you're eliminating the ability to do a PowerPoint.
I don't think we've been asked to.
I don't recall any moment over at least the past 8 months that we've had someone do public comment having to use the poll down. Most of the items that have used the poll down have been part of the agenda items.
Well, I'm just saying, why would we take away that right or that ability if we don't have a reason to take away that ability?
I don't.
It's, in my opinion, it's unnecessarily restrictive.
in my opinion, the whole thing's
I think part of the problem is that, I think the problem with that is our office does not feel comfortable, for instance, telling someone your PowerPoint contains information that can be seen as misrepresenting the results of an election, okay? If someone wants to come in here and complain about an election being fair or not fair, I don't want to be the arbiter as to whether that is misinformation or not. YouTube's policy prevents that. The screen is visible. Our screen is visible on YouTube. If someone wants to come in even and talk about that, I mean, theoretically, it could be a problem with YouTube's terms of service, but as a county, we're just not going to prohibit that. What you put up on the screen can be seen on YouTube. If you want staff, I mean, if it's the will of the board to allow, to buy a special unit and allow people to do PowerPoint presentations during public comment, I guess theoretically I don't have any problem with it. It's been 7 years and no one has ever asked to do that. But if it's something you want to do, it certainly could be done and probably has less potential to violate YouTube's terms of service or to personally want to flag that with YouTube. I think it'd be up to you if you want to, whether or not you want to buy a piece of equipment on the off chance that somebody will want to do that.
I have no problem with Carl's proposal, although I don't like the idea of taking away the pull-down screen. That's my beef. I think if somebody wants to have the right to come in here and do a PowerPoint, because if you can't do the videos, then you can always do a PowerPoint. Who are we to say that they don't have the right to do that during public comment? And it doesn't cost much to make it doable.
Ms. Patterson?
To me, a PowerPoint is a handout. It's something, just like we got from Hindi today, it's something that we can look at. It doesn't need to be put up on a screen. They can review the PowerPoint with us. They can do handouts. So it's not going to, they're still going to be able to present in that manner.
And I've gone to meetings where I've done it and intended to have it on the screen and, well, you helped me with it and it didn't get there because we had technical issues. But we happened to have the backup, which, everybody had in front of them. So we were covered for that. However, when you're sitting in the audience and you want to follow what's going on that the people are looking at on their desk, you can't if you don't have the screen pulled down. So I would move to amend his amendment to,
Amend an amendment.
Yeah,
You can't
we
amend
have
an
a-
amendment until you have an
No.
amendment. Defeated.
I don't think you can, you'd have to finish with.
Finish the amendment that's opposed at this point, correct?
Okay. Ms. Patterson, were you first?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Walbert?
Thank you, Mr. Larson. I guess I'm gonna call on state attorneys to help me with this, as I think through this in my mind. So the amendment that Mr. Johnson proposed does exactly what you're asking for, I think, Ms. Branson, because it says do not allow. So if you leave it in there, am I reading this wrong? You do not allow the pull down screen in front of you. It's not saying that you, so by leaving it in there, it's saying you can't use it. By taking it out, it leaves it open, doesn't it?
he put the period after microphone.
Yeah.
Speaker's use. What he's saying is forget we got the screen because you don't get it.
Microphone provided for the speaker use, period. And it says and the pull down screen, so.
But he struck and the pull down screen.
Period behind that.
Yeah, and I think something to consider is the people at home can't read that. I can't read that as I sit here, and our audience can't read the type up there. It's simply too small. You could, if you put a video of, somebody being beaten, a violent video, you could probably tell from our YouTube feed that that's what was happening on that screen. The people at home cannot read this without, can they
No.
read it well? I can't read it as I sit here.
I blew it up and I can't even really.
The public can't read what's on there when they're sitting in the audience. It's not like we're doing something to public comment that is more restrictive than what the public can see during the regular board.
It really only benefits individuals in the room, I guess.
Yeah, and even then, not.
It's almost worse.
Not where we're sitting.
I can turn around and see it real
Mr. Wiltie?
Remember what we're doing here. Originally, we came out and we're calling 8 and 9 are the two in red bullet points. And at that time, the 9th bullet point allowed somebody to come in with their own and show a video. We then sent it back to the staff, and in this case, the staff is the state's attorney's office for a legal recommendation on their best shot at this, and they said no videos. So paragraph 9, bullet point 9 should fall entirely, which isn't in the rules right now anyway. So it's gone. And Mr. Johnson's putting the period after speaker's use. So the reference to the pull-down screen is gone. And it's not in the current rules anyway. We're just saying no videos, which would also mean, and maybe there needs to be one more extra sentence added by the state's attorney's office, that says the use of private video equipment shall also not be allowed. The point is no videos of any kind because we don't know what's going to be said. And the restrictions in the YouTube policy are there, and we don't have the staff and don't want to be trying to judge content. That gets you into all sorts of trouble. So if you say that people can stand at the microphone and they can say things, they can hand out things to us, we're not violating the First Amendment things, we're just saying no videos.
Ms. Patterson?
I would also add to Mr. Thornberry's point, if we're doing a video on the screen, like I can turn around right now and see the words on that screen, so I'm getting that information. If I'm calling in, when I was online 2 weeks ago for the county board meeting, I could not see that screen. So I think we are furthering making ourselves liable because we can see it and the public can't. So not being able to utilize the screen is fair to everybody. They can do handouts and they can, like the information that we have for PowerPoints for presentations can be viewed because it's part of the agenda.
I call the question, Mr. Chairman.
Can't do that at a committee meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry. Just real quick.
Riley?
Is there anything that we show on that screen that isn't on?
No, everything's on board docs.
There you go.
Go ahead, Mr.
And this might be for IT. If somebody were to come and want to use the screen, I would have to disconnect everything of mine so that they can connect, or can we both be connected at the same time?
You would have to disconnect, they would have to.
Well, they wouldn't do that. They'd be using their own equipment.
I wasn't sure if I understood that a laptop would connect to that to connect to the
No,
screen.
you wouldn't want that, would you, Joe?
The only way I would be comfortable with that.
Do me a favor, step up here, will you, real quick, just so we have it on the record.
If it's coming through a laptop,
Hang on, let he's the pro, hang on, hear what he's got to say.
I would be comfortable if it was a laptop that was not on the network. The only thing it's doing is the projector. That is it.
My suggestion was 2 meetings ago that somebody can, that they make projectors that look like this now. It could sit on that table, it could project on that screen. I still don't want videos, just so you know. I'm not changing my opinion here, but that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about connecting to that because that would be a whole nother cord you'd have to run and everything else. So I'm talking about bringing, and to be honest, people, they've already told us that they don't want to do that. If they can't do it exactly the way, I'm sorry to keep bringing up your name.
You're fine.
Exactly the way Miss Patterson did it, then they're not going to be happy. So I don't know, we can't fix that problem. It's, it's out of the bag. I blew it on that one, but we're past that now, so.
A separate projector just isn't gonna work. I mean, trying to get it through you onto that screen and format it and everything else, I mean, realistically, that isn't going to work.
All right.
The projector's wireless. You're not plugged in, you're connected wirelessly. We could have a second laptop that it's not connected to the internal network in any way. It's only connected to the projector. If they wanted to do that, yeah, that's fine. And you can plug thumb drives into it. I don't care if it gets infected. It's not going to do anything that I'm concerned about.
That still doesn't get us past the YouTube policy though. So, all right, I'm done.
Should.
Mr. Thornberry?
Based on what we just discussed here, if you hook up a laptop where you can view on that screen, your laptop is gonna Wi-Fi into that projector and you're gonna get it on the screen. Anything that's contaminable is gonna stop at that laptop. It's not gonna go into our system. It's gonna stop at the laptop.
Briefly. But we don't know on that projector what's going to show. And if it starts showing clips or videos, there we are. There's the problem.
I have one comment, two comments actually, I guess. You know, it's being mentioned, if we're projecting something on there, it could possibly be seen on YouTube. You could just turn that camera away so you can't see that screen. That would stop that. And what it really all sounds like is if there weren't violent acts of animal abuse happening, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. So.
Right.
If it weren't for the rodeos, we wouldn't even be discussing this.
Any other discussion on the amendment? The proposed amendment? So, here, I didn't write this exactly down. Could you just read the amendment there, please, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, bullet point 8 would read, members of the public and county board members shall not be allowed to use county audio visual equipment other than the microphone provided for the speaker's use, period. The remaining portion of that would be eliminated. Bullet point 9 would also be eliminated.
So everybody understand what we're voting on? That's the amendment to change the wording and of the two red sections. Okay, all those in favor of the amendment, say aye.
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 All those against, say nay.
Oh,
Nay. I believe the motion carries, but.
You want to do a roll call? Yes. All right. On the amendment as stated, Bonnie Riley, yes. Brian Schneider?
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey?
Aye.
Ray Larson?
No.
Brett Mueller?
Aye.
Tom Wahlberg?
Aye.
Lisa Patterson?
Yes.
Dana Loxton?
No.
Sherry Branson?
Yeah.
Carl Johnson?
Yes.
And Marion Thornberry?
no.
That's yes, passes.
So amendment passes. So now we're back to the original motion as amended. Is there any other discussion, Mr. Thornberry?
I can make amendment to this eliminating both red articles.
There's a motion by Mr. Thornberry to remove both of Mr. Wiltsey.
That sentence that remains in 8 under the motion that was just passed says that persons, the public and county board members shall not be allowed to use county audiovisual equipment. That's exactly what he's telling us he wants, and that's exactly the way it should remain. I urge your no vote on this.
Did we get a second on anything? Because you gotta have a second before you can get a comment.
Yeah. Is there a second for Mr. Thornberry's proposed amendment?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Lodson. Any discussion? Mr. Johnson?
I think leaving that in there makes it clear and clarifies the position of the board that the board has had for many, many years. And it makes it a level playing field for everyone, period.
Oh,
Mr. Thornberry?
that's not quite true, because when I was on the board back in 2012 to 2014, we used videos in here just about all the time.
Not for public comment.
Public
Not for public
comment
comment.
and everything
No, sir.
else too.
No, sir.
Yes, sir. I was here too.
Any other discussion to remove the remainder of what's being called?
The only thing I'm trying to do is keep everything on a level playing field to where the public gets to see what we see. We can do that. I mean, they've already discussed it 2 or 3 times during different committees, different meetings we've had here. If the people send their stuff to us ahead of time to where we can run a scan and review what they want us to see and get it okayed, there shouldn't be a problem, because there's not gonna be anything in it, because our IT people are gonna take care of it if there is. Or they're gonna deny the access because there's something in there they don't wanna see. I don't see the problem here. You guys are coming up with excuses, not remedies. And excuses don't get the job done.
Mr. Wilson?
Mr. Thornberry has just described is content review and decisions made on content. And that's a bunch of trouble in case law. That's what I'm trying to tell you all.
Yes, but we know what the content is already.
But you can't do it. You can't say yes to one and no to another. That's the impermissible use of content. There's where you get into a problem. That's why the state's attorney's office is saying no video.
You're denying the public the right to know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I've just mentioned you also, anybody coming up and speaking into the audio equipment, you have no idea what they're actually gonna say either, so. Is there any other discussion on proposed amendment to remove the remainder of .8? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion for the proposed amendment fails. Back to the original motion.
As amended.
As amended by Mr. Johnson. Is there any other discussion? Any other proposed amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment as the vote for the motion as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. On to 9.5. Need a motion to approve fiscal year 2024 holiday schedule. Motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Schneider. Ms. Tobin, just briefly.
Sure, yeah. What you have before you is the 2024 proposed holiday schedule with the 13 holidays. And you'll notice the Juneteenth is included in this one as well, that you approved earlier this year.
Any discussion on the holiday schedule? Mr. Wiltsey?
And honestly say I now understand Juneteenth better, having reviewed some background information. I'm still not in favor of adding holidays, but at this point, we are so deeply into this, and all the other bargaining units have already got this. I have to roll over on this and, yes.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. 9.6, I need a motion to approve the lease agreement for the Public Defender's Office. Motion by Mr. Mueller, seconded by Mr. Riley. Anybody? Mr. Johnson?
I could have missed it in this, but how does this cost compare to what we're paying now?
So we had been paying $2,000 a month. So he had asked for substantially higher, and we negotiated down to $2,100. So it's an additional $100 a month.
This is I see it's a 1-year lease, correct?
We did with all the discussion that you'll be seeing regarding moving the public defender's office. He agreed to a 1 year and then a very small increase going, December 2024 going forward.
I assume that was purposeful, I would.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
He's asking for a year.
Yeah, no thanks. It's a dump where they're at.
Any other discussion? Oh, Mr. Riley?
Just real quick, I should have asked this question before. Did we get any compensation for the 3-6 months the air conditioning didn't work? I'm assuming we probably did not.
Those were part of my arguments as to why it should only go up the $100, basically to cover maybe some, electrical and gas that have gone up. And that was about it. Yeah.
Mr. Wahlberg?
Yes, I like what you've done here. That was my question that Mr. Johnson brought up, but I guess this goes to December 1st in terms of a monthly lease. Is it defined there when that needs to be terminated, or just can terminate at any given time throughout the month? I just didn't see it defined. It doesn't matter, I guess, if it's not.
I think basically there, it would just go month to month at December 1, 2024 at the 2,142.
Very good. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, that was the understanding.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say motion carries. On to 9.7, fiscal year 2024 budget discussion. Open.
Sure. I have a couple additional items from that I did not have at the last meeting. Ms. Milner's here regarding the Board of Review salaries. You'll see a Board of Review new initiative sheet, and she could maybe explain that better if she wanted to come up here. I know the salary that the Board of Review received decreased 2 years ago, I believe, and there was discussion of maybe bringing that back up. So,
Ms. Mueller.
Yeah, good evening. So the issue with the Board of Review salary was in a discussion with Dan Street, and I believe it was last year, potentially. Board salaries are kind of meant to be intentional, right? You set the board salary, like your salaries are set, or the money that you're paying. Doing this fine work is intentional and not the same kind of pay that a regular employee would receive. So due to some kind of coding thing, Dan Street brought it to my attention that the Board of Review pay was kind of had been swept into COLA adjustments over the years. And so that kind of changed the way it was not intentional. So last year I reduced the salary of the Board of Review, and I think that the software issue has been corrected. And the Board of Review brought it to my attention that maybe I overcorrected. So I think at the time that the salary had been up for the three of them, it had gotten up to $19,000 for the year. Budgeted. I don't think that was what was actually dispersed. And we dropped it down to 15,000 for the year, $5,000 a piece and now I would like that up to 16 grand for the three of them for the year. So it's still less than it was 2 years ago, but just a recognition that it's hard to find people to do this work. They don't do a whole lot and then, during the month of October, September, October, November, I have them in all day long, and there's just not a lot of people who have the kind of time or the schedule or the ability to drop everything. And they are required to be, to take a test to be certified by the Illinois Department of Revenue, and that also takes time to go and study study that information and take that test. So, I would like it if you would approve this, just as a recognition that the Board of Review is valuable to our community, and it is not easy to find people to do that work. Any questions? Thanks.
Mr. Wahlberg.
Oh, sorry. I guess I didn't have my hand up high enough. So you're proposing to go to 6,000?
16, yeah, 6,000 per.
Times 3.
Yeah, there's 3.
18.
I discussed with the board when they brought to me their concerns that I kind of, they were just, none of them do it for the money. None of the people that we have on the board currently do this for the money. But I think that because I dropped the reduction I made was so drastic that it just felt like they were being disrespected, to be honest. I made a mistake. And we discussed different ways of approaching it, potentially, like on your board where the chairman is paid a little more. The chairman of our Board of Review rejected that idea. She felt that all the board members work equally hard. So the salary should be equal across the 3 board members. And by raising it, we recognize that we do value them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I could.
Open.
Yep. So one more thing that came to light yesterday, there was Supreme Court, State of Illinois handed down the compensation for attorneys appointed to represent indigent parties was changed, and that goes into effect January 1. This basically doubles what they're currently receiving. And Tricia could probably touch on this a little bit more. But right now it's $50 if they're in the office, $75 if they're in court. And the statute now is $150 per hour, regardless of whether it's in their office or court. Tom Jakeway, our court administrator, is trying to quickly work the numbers as to what this could mean for our budget. By me looking at it and talking to Tricia and Tom a little bit, that number's probably going to double. Our current budget is 115, and that could double to 230. So part of my job is to always have the what ifs and the bad case scenarios in my head. So I'm not overly concerned about it, but this is a hit that, we have to go back and adjust. So I'll have more information on that for you next Thursday. He's supposed to get me some numbers by Monday so that I can share that with you. But that we're kind of estimating doubling that line item. I don't know if Tricia, you have.
The only thing I was going to add is that it has been the rate that it's been at least since the 1990s. So it would have been nice for the Supreme Court to maybe make incremental changes instead of doing what it did now, and as well as doing it on November 1st when the county budgets are presented. So that wasn't helpful. But there's really nothing that we can do if the Supreme Court orders this. And we need, a lot of this comes from CASA. There's guardian items there. Sorry, not CASA, the attorneys that represent CASA. And then also, if there's a conflict within the public defender's office and they need alternate public defenders other than our alternate. So we have 2 attorneys that typically are appointed cases, and that's necessary sometimes if you have that many co-defendants. So, and it's just one of those numbers too that's hard to determine year to year as to how many hours attorneys are going to use, because it depends on how many conflicts there are, how many cases are filed, that sort of thing.
see, what else do we have? I did also provide, there's some additional county engineer salary information that our county engineer wanted me to share with you. Currently, he is being, he falls into the 3% with the rest of employees. So I am sharing that with you. There's, he provided some notes. And then there's also IDOT's minimums for what the engineer should be, and he does fall in that. He's actually slightly above that, so you're meeting IDOT's requirements. But if you were to make any additional changes to that, that would be up to you. Other than that, I'm happy to entertain any further discussion. The property tax levy, if there's any further discussion on that. There might be more information coming down that I'd be sharing with you regarding any incentives to Stellantis. I don't have any of that information right now. As soon as I do, I will share that with you as far as any of the tax incentives that they would be asking for. But as of right now, this levy, shows increases in all the levies that we've talked about, and it would leave the general fund stagnant to where it has been, which would also leave, it's 320,000 that you would be entitled to increase that you would not be increasing. So it would be up to this board if they wanted to increase the levy any higher. That would be your decision.
I have a quick question on the tax levy here. Yeah, I think usually there's some other information here on the other ones I've seen. So at the bottom there, it has the prior year adjustment.
Yes.
What is the adjustment that's being proposed?
That adjustment was, if you go up under Board of Health resolution, their levy there is 65,435. That was not extended to them last year. There was, when your county clerk does the extension, it's a computer program. For some reason, there was a glitch and she selected the wrong line, and that money was not extended to the health department. So prior year adjustment allows them to capture that money that they did not receive last year, plus the amount that they're supposed to receive in the current year.
Okay, well, so like the information, what's the change in the actual rate?
The change in the actual tax rate is going down. So your 2023 rate was 0.97524. Your new rate, would be the 0.92389.
Yeah, I think just before we used to have that actual number separated out, the percentage, you know what I'm saying? Difference. You don't know what I'm saying.
The amount that it decreased?
Yeah, no, well, it just showed it as a decimal point, what the difference was between them.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so basically,
yes,
the levy is actually going down, the rate.
The rate is because your assessed value is going up.
It would have shown whether it was going down or up or saying neutral before is what I'm just saying. Right, and I don't know if anybody has any other questions on this. Ms. Patterson?
So you're saying there was another line giving the variation?
It was like underneath the bottom of it, I think.
Okay.
It would just say the difference of what
Year over year?
the rate from year to year would change. And the question on the county engineer salary, there was the sheet, you would see that what the IDOT's recommended salary range. Is that on here?
Yep, it's on.
That's on there.
I didn't, just the one.
Let's see.
The 11,
Yep, there it is.
24 rate.
Yep. Yeah. So there's, their suggested is the 125.5. And I believe with the 3%, it puts him at 126 and some change.
And
Mr. Riley?
we also need to make sure he uses his vacation, so we don't have to give him the extra 9,000. I mean, Justin does a phenomenal job, and I know that that's, not a huge, but it would help with the budget. And I'd just like to see him take some time off. All right.
So this is just listing what's his salary?
His current salary is 122.
So he's already getting a raise.
Correct.
Suggest, and you're gonna give him 3% more on top.
The 122 plus the 3% puts him at 126. So he's within what IDOT is recommending. He's just above what IDOT minimum says it should be.
Oh, okay, I see I thought you were saying that was suggesting we give him IDAS plus the 3%.
No. I mean, I think he would do that.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Sure he will.
Offer it to him. Nobody's stupid. Yeah.
All right.
Is there any other questions or comments? Yeah, anything else to add here, Ms. Tobin?
Not at this moment, no. I just like the last meeting, I still have the same highlights. And we're still trending to about a balanced budget. And like I said, I'll go back and rework the numbers once I get those numbers from Court Administrator and factor those in so that you have it for next week.
No other discussion on the budgets?
Is that it for administration, Mr. Larson?
Yeah. You want to take over with the,
I don't think we really have any other items. Landfill correspondence, UCC. Well, you got some correspondence here. I believe you got a couple things up. Make sure everybody takes a look at the Veterans Day celebration. Will be on Saturday, November 11th on Veterans Day. It's going to be at the VFW 1310 West Lincoln Avenue at 10 a.m. They still don't have a parade yet, but they do have the get together at the Legion, at the VFW, sorry. Anything else on there that you wanted to bring up?
I just included a copy of the Illinois Association of County Board Members, the county bulletin. I'm not sure if you all received that or not, so I just wanted I'll start copying those on here if you don't receive them. Some pretty good information there. And then I also copied the that annual meeting for the Illinois Association of County Board Members, again, in case anybody was going to attend that.
Okay, I do believe we need an executive session. I didn't get the list, so please let us know what we need to go in executive session for, Madam State's Attorney. I'm sorry.
Just wanted to share a quick comment.
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry.
I apologize. I wasn't sure where to fit this in at.
That's all right. Go right ahead.
So this morning, I sat on the legislative committee with the growth dimensions, and just to kind of give everybody a little bit of an update, we got some legislators coming, trying to have some meetings with them for getting the backing for the Route 20, Business 20, connecting between here and Winnebago County. So there were some positive things that we've got in the works. I just want to share that with everyone. Got full support of growth dimensions, and I know Ronnie's got some meetings scheduled with R1 to talk with those folks about that. And meeting with, like I said, with our legislators and representatives for Senate. That's about the only way that we're going to make an impact on this. So I just want to share that with those folks. And obviously, maybe if all that news is positive, so that was positive news. So I want to share that.
Yep. Just to piggyback off that, absolutely fantastic news. We're going to have some information coming out on that as we move along, and yes, definitely positive news. All right. Anybody else have anything? All right. So then at this point, I need to entertain a motion to go into executive session for imminent or threatened litigation, personnel, and sale of real estate.
I'll move.
Second. Mr. Thornberry, second by Mr. Schneider. Discussion? Seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Rodney Riley, yes. Brian Schneider?
Yes.
Dave Wiltsey?
Aye.
Ray Larson?
Aye.
Brett Mueller?
What are we supposed to do with this?
Lisa Patterson?
Yeah, the tree.
Hey, that's all right. Dana Logston,
Yes.
session. All right. Sherry Branson,
Yes.
Carl Johnson,
Yes.
Marion Thornberry. Session at 7:55 PM. I believe we'll need a few minutes to get the thing, so I'm gonna go to the washroom quick.
After that.